Mick Shaw was a fast-scooting from acting halfback, but unfortunately didn't fulfil his potential at Leeds.
There you go.
I was actually looking at something unrelated the other day, and I can't remember why.
Right.
But I saw Leeds' team from their first ever Super League squad that played their first ever game in Super League, and he played in that game. Did Mick Shaw. Darts at Mitchell Darts said, listening late, not even a minute into the pod, and already a Simpsons reference.
Very good.
We've had one already this year.
I was going to say, we're bringing the Simpsons nice and early these days to keep our fans happy.
Yeah, and then finally on the feedback and shout-outs, Bernard JKD. It's been a while, Bernard. It's obviously all this fame of having his own radio spot in Ireland means he forgets about his little podcast people.
There you go.
He says, regarding Joe Burgess' chase down, or the Joe Burgess chase down in the semi-final, Joe carried the ball in the wrong hand, and in my humble opinion, it's not fucking humble.
I thought H was honest, to be honest.
I thought it was humble. Well, there you go. Bennett won't play him thanks to that folly. He will be great, but he still has a lot of flaws in his game. Just hope he doesn't become the next Ryan Hall, i.e. limited.
I think one of England's highest scoring wingers.
Yeah, it's in try a game at international level and twice to the world's best winger position. P.S. Heard Nobby on BBC refer to Hall as the world's best winger. Lovey is still sticking to a notion despite all evidence against. Well, the evidence is that he was twice, was it, voted to the world side of the year as the best winger. Ryan Hall. So that's where the nickname world's best winger comes from, and I'm pretty sure everyone accepts that he's not playing at the same level that he played at in those years. But do you remember the first of those years, I believe, was the year where they had the Four Nations double-header down at Wembley.
I do.
And he played right wing rather than left wing, his normal position for Leeds. He played right wing for England. And if you remember, I think Sam Tompkins set him up a couple of times, didn't he?
He did.
And I'm not sure if corner posts had gone or not by this point. But even if they hadn't, I think he managed to reach round it. Yeah. Both his tries were brilliant play by the two players. One of them was an unfathomable finish. That is just, obviously now you see one every week from every junior side in the Queensland high school competition leagues.
But he was doing it first.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Was that the game where Tony Thingy should have definitely been sent off? T-Rex. Do you remember? Who did he clean out?
No, because we were against...
When we played Australia.
It was at Wembley, weren't it?
Yeah, we played the Aussies. It was in the same game as those Ryan Hall tries. He should definitely have gone off, or we were a bit pissed.
Yeah, well, we were definitely a bit pissed.
He should have definitely gone off. We could have won that.
I just remember the tries down in front of us, basically.
I remember the... and
all the fans were all the noise, the artificial... noise getting pumped in to try and get the crowd going.
Okay, that is your feedback and shout outs taken care of. Thank you very much, everyone, for getting in touch. Let's take a look.
No, sorry.
It's been a while.
I'm reprising the classic interruption. I wanted to comment on the Joe Burgess thing because...
Oh, of course.
What I was wondering, and I get the wrong hand idea, because if he'd had it in his left hand, there was no way of Niall Evalds getting a play at it, which he eventually did, because he would have had to go all the way around him, or it would have been more difficult for Niall Evalds to make a play at it. So I understand that's why he thinks he was holding it in his wrong hand. The one thing I would counter that with is for Joe Burgess his better sprinting carry in his right hand, and if so, would he to attain maximum speed have more naturally carried it in his right hand, which makes it then, is it the wrong hand, is it not? But he should have probably then swapped it when there was contact coming.
Yeah, my thought on it was, when I looked at it, was that he has it in this hand here, and Evalds is coming towards him, and I think he's ready to brace. I think if he's got it in the outside hand, it's easy for him to find. It's easy for Evalds to put him into touch.
But he would have been able to fend him. But he would have been able to fend him with his right hand.
Yeah, but I still think.
Although, was he going to floor? I agree that at the time when he got to the line, it probably wasn't his wrong hand. But I think the reason for it being in his wrong hand, maybe if it was in the other hand, he wouldn't have been able to sprint as fast. I don't know. It's just something I'm throwing out there as a conversation.
There you go.
Really?
Okay, that's that then. Let's take a look now at the news from around the world of rugby league. So, to the news this week then, and we'll start in Cheshire, where Widnes Vikings halfback Rangi Chase has been suspended from all training and playing activity after testing positive for cocaine. The 31-year-old failed a drugs test following their 36-8 defeat by Wakefield Trinity on the 14th of July. The Super League club has said that they received notification from the UK Anti-Doping Authority and the RFL. In a statement, Widnes said the club fully respects this suspension and are currently reviewing the matter.
Yeah, a few people got in touch. Colin Render at Colin_Render always got to look at both sides of the story, not condoning the things Chase has done, but can understand his troubles. And he put that was attached to a link of one of many articles you can find about Rangi Chase had some horrible things happen in his upbringing, etc. Andrew Rimmer at Andrew Rimmer says such a waste, and Dom Hodgson said, fuck, he was looking like he was getting back on it. Such a shame. Well, he was back on it. Tony Townend said, talented bloke beset with many demons, his own worst enemy. Neil McEwen at Neil McEwen 4600. So Chase should be banned for 2 years. RFL needs to set an example. The lad needs help from Sporting Chance Clinic. Seems to be set on self-destruction. Still staying positive. Super Danny Craven will play in the halves.
Yeah. Before we talk about this, we cover the next one as well, and then talk about them both at the same time.
I think
Wakefield Trinity prop Adam Walker has been suspended by the RFL under UK anti-doping protocol after testing positive for cocaine. The 26-year-old who joined the club from Super League rival St Helens this season was drug tested after Trin's win at Widnes on July the 14th. Under the regulations, he is banned from all training and playing activity. The club fully respects this suspension, said Wakefield Trinity, and are currently reviewing this matter. There will be no further comment at this time.
That could have been a cut and paste job.
Absolutely.
Amazing.
Absolutely. We got some feedback on this one as well.
Neil McEwen again said, Chase Walker cocaine test after the same game is a strange one. Chase is a tip. Sarah McKenzie said, have Chase and Walker been out together, or is it a coincidence? Chase has had so many chances, he's a fool. Paul O'Brien said, drugs is a big problem generally. If players want to partake in the drugs scene, they shouldn't play our sport. #ban for life.
Right. So there's obviously a lot of different opinions to unpack on these two stories, and I think my opinions differ slightly depending on the protagonist. What are your thoughts more broadly on the bans and more specifically on the two players involved?
Well, arguably a precedent has been set, albeit from almost 10 years ago, on Gareth Hock with the 2-year ban he got when he tested positive for the same
substance.
Yeah, which by all sort isn't a performance enhancing drug as such. It's not even though it,
to help you concentrate.
It can change your way your body operates, obviously, but it's not necessarily been proven to improve your performance over the long term, certainly. And it wasn't taken for that purpose by these people, you would imagine. It was taken recreationally, you would suspect. Both of them have had, off-field stories kind of probably dominate their recent careers, if not longer, with the case of Chase. I don't necessarily believe that recreational drugs should be treated the same way as performance-enhancing drugs and the way that the bans are handed down. But if the governing bodies and anti-doping and people want to treat them that way, I think that's reasonable. Even though it's not my personal preference, I would expect a shorter ban with a sort of a second chance, whereas the performance-enhancing stuff, I don't really know how much. Like, I would expect a longer ban with, a permanent ban if you fail your second chance sort of thing, and the second chance on the recreational side, you'll just get a longer ban. I would say the next time. But I do think it's a problem in our society. I do think, whilst we've got some legalised drugs and there's question marks over how much they're damaging to people's health or not, recent figures that have been released just showing how many people are dying from the use of recreational drugs and how that's changing and increasing and moving for different drugs. And cocaine is now killing more people, and more people like males in their late 30s and 40s than sort of previously the case and stuff. I think it's a serious issue that needs to be addressed seriously with people who feel the need to take these kind of substances. I'm sure the dangers of them are heightened compared to the dangers of some of the legalised ones in the short term. A short-term effect of one or two misadventures maybe could be worse, but I just think it's an issue that needs to be addressed, and it's a shame that a spotlight gets shined on our sport from it, as it has been done already this year with Ben Barber coming into Super League, as it has been done in the past. People like Gareth Hart, things like the Gold Coast Titans saga from 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a shame that our sport seems to be blighted by it, and we both suspect, don't we? I don't want to put words in your mouth, but that it goes far beyond the few players that you hear of the positive drug testing.
Yeah, I would go that. I would tend to agree with that. Yeah, definitely.
So I just think globally and societally we need to understand what we're putting in our bodies and be more sensible about it.
Yeah, so speaking specifically about these two then, in my opinion, Adam Walker, we'll deal with him first because it's a much simpler one for me. He's a bit of a dick, and he's got caught out, and he plays a professional sport, and he's fallen foul of regulations, and from what I understand, it will be nothing much more than lads, here's a night out, someone's put a line or two in front of him, or he's acquired a line or two from somewhere. He's had a jolly good time, and he's been picked up on his urine test, and he will suffer the ramifications for that, and it's going to be a lesson learned. I couldn't predict what the length of ban would be. Precedentially, you would say 2 years. I don't like this talk about, well, Ben Barber got this, Ben Barber got that. They were with Ben Barber, for me, they were carrying out a ban that had already been in place by a different authority, so that's fine. I think it's what we've done, and if Adam Walker picks up a 2-year ban, if he keeps himself fit, there's a way back into rugby league for him. I think 2 years is probably a shade on the long side, personally, considering it's not a performance enhancing drug, but there does need to be some ramifications, because these are young men that are put in the spotlight and given the rarefied air of being a rugby league player, and should be setting a better example to the young men and women that follow the sport and are more impressionable than you or I might be.
Could be the young men or women that follow the sport that have put this line of Charlie in front of him in a bar or night space. So.
I don't necessarily. I mean, I'm thinking of the 8, 9, 10-year-olds, mate. So, mind you, it's in Wakefield, so there's a very good chance that they were. Rangi Chase, that for me goes beyond the actual acts of being caught and kind of the drug taking. For me, clearly this lad needs more of a broad spectrum of help, to never mind getting back on a rugby field, fuck that, just to keep him alive perhaps, and keep him on an even keel, and help him and help his young family as a result. There's more to it than just going out and having a line, as far as I'm concerned, with Rangi Chase. I think there's a self-medication kind of thing going on, and there's definitely something mentally that needs looking at for a young man like Rangi Chase. And history has proven that. So whilst it's dead easy for us to go, oh, he's wasted his talent, he had the world at his feet and he's fucked it up. Yeah, he absolutely has, and I don't think anybody feels that more keenly than Rangi Chase himself probably does when he looks himself in the mirror every morning.
It's his own biggest obstacle, but I'm sure he knows that.
Of course he is, but there needs to be, now is the opportunity for us to help someone out rather than castigate them.
You can understand the bitterness and anger from the Witness fans after giving him another lifeline after another fucking off-field, irresponsible kind of scenario.
Absolutely, but with stuff like this, who's to say how many chances you should get if it's to the point of helping a man save his life? Do you know what I mean? Like, he does it in the public eye, and he does it, and his chances are given to him very publicly. Cass, Lee, Salford, Cass again, Witness. I'm not saying that he hasn't had plenty of chances, but he also, when do you, as the people that have a duty of care to someone like Rangi Chase, say, well, that's enough, now you're on your own? Where does your moral compass lead you in that respect? And for me, somewhat, obviously Rangi Chase needs to want to help himself, and that's a big personal issue, and it makes up a massive part of his decision to get well and look after himself. But if you irreversibly remove any chance for support for Rangi Chase, then he absolutely won't take that chance to look after himself. So
I've not seen any suggestion from people that, well, other than some real fucking dullards out there, I've not seen suggestions from people that don't feel like support is being offered or needed and deserved as well, because we all are human beings who deserve that sort of support. the difficulty, like you say, is he's got in his